Oh, what is the Epskis, everybody? Welcome back to another episode of the GXGamerCast. We're on episode 81 of my little gaming show where once a week I just have to talk about video games, new video games that I'm playing today, old video games from my past, old video games that I never played, new video games that I've never played. It doesn't matter. If you like video games, you might have a good time here. And today I am doing a modern review on the massive Persona 3 Reload. Took me all month to finally get through it, and finally I get to do a review on it. But before we get into the review, let's talk about what I've been up to over the last week or so, and I always encourage you, the listener, the viewer, let me know what you've been up to over the last whatever amount of time. What TV shows are you diving into? What movies have you seen? And, of course, what video games are you playing right now? Let me know and shout out your recommendations, y'all. There's so much stuff out there, I can't keep my finger on all the pulses, but I will let you know what I've been up to this week. It was a pretty big week. Let's start with some TV shows. My wife and I finished off F1 Drive to Survive, the new season, Season 6. We absolutely crushed it. Probably one of our favorite shows to watch together, and it was awesome. Season 6 was very, very good. And if you have not checked out F1 Drive to Survive, you don't need to be into F1 whatsoever. I didn't know a single thing about it before I started watching it, and now my wife and I are even considering watching the real races. So yeah, it's a really, really well done show with a lot of great characters in it. The drivers are very awesome, and it was a very interesting season for sure. Can't wait for the next season of Drive to Survive. It is freaking excellent. Gotta check it out. It's on Netflix. Wife and I are also continuing with Umbrella Academy Season 2. She's starting to fall off on it a little bit because there's like a time traveling gimmick to it, and she's not a big fan of that. I'm a huge fan of time traveling, so we've been slowing down on that one. I still like it quite a lot. It's a really cool show that I've heard nobody talk about before. Check it out, watch a trailer. It's a unique show, good characters, pretty damn good story, and yeah, I would recommend it. Check out Umbrella Academy. And my wife and I started watching Survivor, that show, the reality TV show. Sadly, not the newest season. We're going to start watching the newest one. It just started, but couldn't get it working last night, so we just decided to watch one of the older seasons, and I don't know what season it was, but it's millennials versus I think it's Gen X or whatever. It's interesting. We've watched a couple episodes. I will admit I want to watch more. I'm addicted to Survivor again. I was a huge Survivor kid growing up. I was there when it first started. My dad, my sister, and we would all watch it. Probably like the first 4 or 5 seasons of it, we just must-watch television for us. And then, I hadn't watched Survivor in a very long time. Kind of walked by, saw my wife watching some Survivor. I'm like, hey, I want to watch some of that. So started watching it, and it's Survivor. It's a lot of fun. And I got a movie in this week, and that movie was Gran Turismo, the PlayStation video game made into a movie. Now, I admit, I was a little like, oh, Gran Turismo into a movie? Like, what? It actually works very good. It was a good movie. I enjoyed this movie. It's got the dude from Stranger Things in it, the older guy. I have no idea who his name is, but the best thing about this movie is that it's actually based off of a true story where they had a video game competition for Gran Turismo, the video game. Whoever wins that competition has a chance to drive real racing cars. It sounds insane, but it actually happened, and it worked. The guy became like a really good driver and everything. They play a little bit with the video game. There's some like camera angles that are like the video game, some sound effects I would imagine from the video game. I would admit I've never played Gran Turismo before, but yeah, it definitely felt a little bit like a Gran Turismo trailer endorsement. So many times we're like, oh, this is the greatest simulator of all time and stuff like that. It felt a little bit like a commercial for sure, but it was a good movie. It was good, well acted. The racing scenes were great. Coolest thing about it is like the real guy that's based off of this movie. He was doing the driving stunts in the movie, so he's doing his own stunts. He's not acting in the movie. They have another actor, but yeah, it was really cool. The crash scenes were probably my favorite part of the movie. The crashes were excellent, and I won't spoil it, but definitely worth a shot to check out this movie. It doesn't like go crazy with the story or anything. It's pretty vanilla in terms of that, but it's just a good looking movie. It's got good action with the racing, and yeah, it was a pretty damn fine movie. I'm hitting it with a 7 out of 10. It was a lot better than you would expect out of a Gran Turismo movie, I would imagine. And that's all the movies and TV shows I got into this week. And let's talk about some video games. A pretty big, interesting week for myself in video games. So obviously, played the bejesus out of Persona 3 this week and finished that off. And when you finish a game of the size of Persona, it literally took me all month long. I've been playing this game pretty much every day for a month. And when a game like this ends, it's you get into a little bit of a gaming funk after you get through this. So I've been jumping around to a handful of different games here. So I was continuing on with my Metal Gear Rising. I beat it. And I think I'm going to do a review on it. I think there's enough meat on the bone, if you will, for a review of that game. Very, very interesting game right there. And I feel like I'm going to be talking about Metal Gear Rising on a bunch of list videos. It was a hard video game. It was very hard, but I got through it. And yeah, I think it deserves a review. So be on the lookout for a Metal Gear Rising review at some point. I finished off Lego Star Wars, at least episode 9 with my wife, so we did like the final trilogy. I don't know if we're going to go back and do like episodes 1 through 6. We've played them before, so I don't know. Again, it's Star Wars, can't go wrong. But then this one was very interesting. I picked up Balatro. So Balatro, you may have heard of. It's kind of taking the world by storm a little bit here. And I've been hearing nothing about it, and the concept of it just sounded so cool. I had to go out and buy it right away. And so basically what it is, it's a poker roguelite. So you're using a poker, it's like a roguelite deck building thing. So if you like Slay the Spire, this is definitely something that's going to speak to you heavily. It's extremely addicting, it's super fun, and the concept of it is so simple, but fuck is it ever just awesome. So using a poker deck, using poker hands and shit, you don't really have to know poker or even like poker to get a lot out of this game. I'm fine with poker. I'm aware of it. I played it. It's fine. But Jesus, this ever addicting. You're going on these runs and you're trying to level up your hands. Like, I had a really good run the other night where I was using straights a lot. And there, I got this one card, like you can get these little upgrades, these little joker cards that give you little benefits, and you're trying to, basically the goal is you're trying to hit a score with poker hands. So it's like, all right, round 1, you got to get 300 points, and you know, if you lay down a nice straight, you're going to get like 350 points, and then you start adding multipliers, and oh my goodness, it is so much fun. It is definitely a game that's like one more run, oh, I want to try this, and it's different every single time. Like, at certain time, I've had runs where I just focused on getting pairs. It's like, all right, I got all these little bonuses for pairs, so I'm going to start building pairs. My favorite by far has been doing straights and flushes. I got this one joker card where it's like, all right, it takes one less card to pull off a straight or a flush. So I only need 4 cards, which was huge. So I'm pulling off straights and flushes left and right, getting huge multipliers. It is insanely fun. I cannot recommend this game more. It is $20 on, I don't know if it's where it's at. I'm playing it on Switch. It's an excellent handheld game. You could just pick it up and play. It is awesome. It is so freaking good. I am, having a really good time. Whenever there's a spare moment where I don't know what to do with myself, it's Balatro time every single time. So check that game out. It is a ton of fun. And then a couple of racing games I've been putting along with here. Watching Drive to Survive, I got the hankering for a racing game. I have a bunch on the docket that, you know, they're just pick one, and I chose between these two, kind of very different, but they're both simulation-y style racers. So we'll do Forza Motorsport first. Came out last year, and it's Forza Motorsport. It's racing circuits. It's very simple. It's beautiful looking. It drives. It's great. If you played a Forza game, it's a Forza game. It's fine. At some points, I can sit there and bang out a few races. Sometimes I'm like, I'll do one race and I'm done. I still much prefer the Horizon video games. They're just a lot more variety and more different shit to do, and it's just a lot more fun in general. But if you like simulation racers, you can't get much better than Forza Motorsport. Pretty damn good. And then I tried a different one. That game is Snow Runner. I've seen this game lots of times. I see my buddy playing it. I see a really strong community behind this game. I'm like, all right, what is going on here? This game gets tons of support, and I decided to check it out, and I found out that it's basically getting stuck in the mud simulator. You're driving these big rigs and trucks and shit in these horrific conditions, you're getting stuck in the mud, you're getting stuck in the snow and the swamps, and you're just delivering shit. It's very simulation. If you don't like simulation games, you don't like Forza, you think Forza's too simulation-y, this is even more simulation-y than Forza. And yeah, it's a tough game to recommend. It is most certainly not for everybody. I don't think, but there's something weird about it, man. Like, I find myself being, like, I played it for a handful of hours, and I was like, why is this, like, oddly fun? Like, it's so slow. You spend, like, 6 minutes just trying to get through a fucking puddle of mud, and you're fucking winching onto trees trying to pull yourself out, and it's crazy, man. It's a very wild game. I commend the developers for taking a concept like this and turning it into a video game and making it fun. And I don't have a racing rig or simulation. I don't have a wheel. I don't have any of that stuff. I'm playing with a controller, and I don't know what it is, man. There's something fun about it. I can't understand it. It's so painfully slow and grindy. Even the homie Kyle who plays it, he was like, yeah, you really gotta, like, wanna play it. And I 100% understand what he's talking about. Because, like, what you're doing, basically, you get these big areas that you're driving in, almost like a big open world space, and you have, like, watchtowers you go to find, and you'll, like, open up the area, but, like, you'll get these contracts, and it's like, all right, go to this place, pick up these fucking skids of wood or whatever, and then bring it over here, and, I don't know, something will be an obstacle in your way. It's like, oh, the bridge is out, you're gonna have to take this side route, and this side route is fucked. It's all muddy and fucked up and shit, and you're getting stuck. Yeah. And the worst part is, like, if you fuck up a mission, starting all over again, it's just a massive grind. So one thing I was doing, similar, like, all right, I'm taking this shit, and they're like, oh, well, this is blocked up, I'm gonna have to go off-road. Went off-road, took a wrong turn, ended up halfway up a fucking snowy mountain, rolled down the mountain, lost everything, had to start over, and I was like, I'm not doing, like, this huge 20-minute drive all over again. I was like, okay, so don't know if I'm gonna be continuing on with SnowRunner, but, like, I see why people like it. Like, there's, like, if I had a wheel and a rig and everything, I can have a lot of fun with this game for sure, but it is very different. Yeah, I can't really recommend it for a lot of people, but if it sounds interesting to you, it's very different. I can't say I've ever played anything like it. Yeah, it's a very weird game. That's really all I got on that, and that is all I have been playing. I will say that I have Sekiro Shadows Die Twice. It is now downloaded onto the PlayStation. I was going to start it today, but I kind of woke up late, had a lot of recording to do today, so I decided I was just going to play some Forza. But I have Sekiro. It's downloaded. I am very close to starting it. I'm like, I got that itch, with the Elden Ring, Shadow of the Erdtree getting announced. I'm like, all right, I got to get my soul fingers going. With Metal Gear Rising, I still have an itch for some hard, fast-paced sword parry action gameplay. So yeah, I think I'm going to be starting up Sekiro. I have literally 3 games sitting here, and I'm trying to decide which one I want to do first. And it's Sekiro, Last of Us Part 2, which I have played before, but I haven't done the remastered, so I have that. And Metal Gear Solid 5, which I have tried 3 or 4 times now, haven't gotten into it, and I have it down here looking at it and seeing if I can get back into that. But I think I'm going to start with Sekiro, and wish me luck, because that is going to be a very tough video game. And that is everything that I've been up to. Let me know what you've been up to over the last week or so, and let's get into it, baby. The massive Persona 3 Reload review. Let's do this shit. Oh baby, it is Persona season yet again, and if you have listened to my top 10, 13 favorite franchises episode, you might know that I am a pretty big fan of Persona these days, and I was very much so looking forward to Persona 3 Reload coming out, and I downloaded it on Game Pass day one and have been playing it ever since, and I only just finished it a couple of days ago, and yes, I have been in that gamer funk ever since that game has finished, and I don't know what to do with myself, because Persona is so hard to just move off of. It is such a spectacular, massive video game. I'll pull that band-aid off right now. This game is freaking huge. Probably going to be my most played video game of the year, because I don't know if there's going to be a game that's beating over 120 hours. So if that scares you off, yeah, Persona games are very, very long. This was a very long video game, but they're so worth it, man. The story, the adventure that they take you on, it is so much fun. So let's try and break down the concept of Persona 3 Reload. What the heck is this game all about? Well, it's a massive RPG with a little bit of a simulation spin put onto it. Simply put, you're living your life during the day, you're making friends, you're going to school, you're doing activities and all that great stuff, and at night you're fighting monsters and shadows and trying to save the world. You're playing as a second-year student who ends up joining this organization called Cease, and yeah, they like to fight shadows after midnight, and they're trying to figure out what is going on with this disease that has overtaken your town called apathy syndrome. And it's like depression. It's just sucking the wind out of everybody, making them not want to do anything and just basically becoming useless husks of people that they once were. So we're trying to figure out what the hell is going on. Why is everybody getting this disease? And why are there shadows showing up? Why is this massive 3,000 foot tall building showing up at midnight? So yeah, we got to figure out what the hell is going on with this. And in terms of the storyline and everything that is going on here, it may have like your charming, kind of lots of color and all that stuff on the outside. Might look like a charming little video game. And it is, absolutely. But there are a lot of heavy topics throughout this video game. You're talking depression, you're talking loneliness, suicide, death, the meaning of death, the afterlife, all that stuff. So it's a very heavy game. There's a lot of heavy topics, there's heavy moments with your friends, and yeah, so it's got a lot going on with it in that sort of vein, and I will not be spoiling anything, no spoilers. I will hint at a thing here or there, but no major storyline spoilers, nothing like that. You're in the clear in this review. So we'll be talking about the graphics, the sound design, the gameplay. I'll talk about some of my big favorite moments that I experienced throughout the game with no spoilers, and of course we gotta talk about the characters of this game, because it's Persona, man. The characters are the bread and butter of these games. So we'll get into all of that stuff. We broke down the story, the concept a little bit, and let's get into the graphics of this game. It is a very sharp-looking video game. Now, I didn't play the original Persona 3, but I've always been aware of the Persona franchise. I mean, I remember reading about this game in the magazines way back in the day, and the concept of shooting yourself in the head just really blew my mind. And we'll get into that mechanic once we get to the gameplay, but I remember reading that and I was like, what? That sounds insane. The concept sounded unlike anything I've ever heard of before in a video game. This came out in like 2006, 2005, somewhere around there. And yeah, the idea of going to school, living a normal life throughout the day, and then at night you go out and fight these monsters sounded really, really cool to me. I did actually play a little bit of the original Persona games back in the day. They didn't hit right away with me. I was a younger man, maybe, I don't know, not very story-driven at the time. Don't know why those games didn't hit for me at the time, but they didn't. I didn't get into the Persona series until Persona 5. I played that, and just, it's been no looking back ever since, but nice, sharp, colorful art style in this game. Looks like a Persona game. Like, it's sharp, it's colorful, very flashy, especially when it comes to the combat. Like, once you get into that combat, very, very flashy, very anime. Like, it's got a lot of great style, great animation to it as well. And they have a little bit of anime, like, cutscenes in there. Not too many. I would love a lot more. I'm always down for anime cutscenes. Fucking love them, especially in Persona. I would say out of the Persona games that I've played, 3, 4, and 5, I think this one probably had the least amount of anime cutscenes. Could be wrong, but they were there, and they were always freaking awesome. I am dying for an anime TV show for Persona. I would love that. Please make it happen. Maybe it's already out there, and I just don't know about it. Regardless, it's, the anime cutscenes look really good. The only thing that it's not really a negative per se. I think it's part of the art style, but like some of the NPCs around the world, they don't have faces. Some of them don't have eyes. They have no expressions on their faces and stuff like that. I like that's kind of been like a theme throughout all the Persona games. So I don't know if that's just what they're going for. I don't know if that was just a lack of timing, that we're not going to put in a whole bunch of extra detail and background characters. There's a nightclub that you go to, and inside of that nightclub, there are people dancing, but not dancing. They're just standing completely still, and they're just standing there. And now it's a lot of the background people. That's what they're doing. They're not moving around. They're not really interacting or doing anything. So it's kind of a standstill world that you're living in, and you're just moving around it. Like they're sort of moving, but yeah, it was really glaring when I got into that nightclub and people just have like their arms raised up in the air. I'm like, what the fuck is going on in here? One of those flash mobs where everyone's frozen still for a second? Am I ruining it? I don't know. But it was noticeable. It didn't take away from the gameplay. Like, all the main people that you need to talk with, the important people, they're all animated. They have faces and expressions and shit like that. They don't go over the top, like, outside, like when you're just walking around the place and you walk up to a person, chat with them, their mouths aren't moving like perfectly, and they're not really doing a whole lot, and it's not like, it's just like the little picture pops up with their face, and you're doing a lot of reading, but there's also a lot of voice acting. We'll talk about that. I guess right now we'll just dive into the sound design. I think the graphics, they look great. Lots of color, great art style. It's going to look good for a very, very, very long time. So I'm down with all of that. Just some of it didn't have as much detail as some of the other stuff. But yeah, lots going on. The area that you're in, it's in Japan. Don't know if it's particular place, but I fucking love the Japan setting. I love it. It's beautiful. The cherry blossom trees. Oh my god, I love cherry blossom trees so much. And the seasons are changing throughout the game. You're basically going through like a year, 2 years of your, I think just 1 year. So you're at least experiencing a full year of season changes in Japan, and it's different than what we experience here in Canada. I think our winters and everything are opposite. Regardless, it's just, it's a really nice looking game. I think my favorite part is whenever the cherry blossom season is, and in front of the school, there's just like the long walkway. It's stunning. It's absolutely stunning. Looks great. All right, so that's enough with the graphics. We'll slide into the sound design and all that stuff. And probably the other side of that bread and butter is the music in Persona games. Absolutely fucking legendary soundtracks in all these games, and each one has a little bit of a theme. So in Persona 5, you kind of had like this jazz kind of theme going on with it. In 4, I can't 100% remember what the theme was in 4, but in Persona 3, you get this kind of like rap, techno-y kind of thing going on with it. I love it. I think the music is excellent, especially with the little, I love the rap. I love the rap so much. It's so good back there. It's so funky, and yeah, it still has that little jazziness in there. Super catchy themes. The only one that drives me nuts is like the battle theme. Fucking disturbing the peace. Look into my eyes. Oh my, you know how many times I fucking heard that playing through this game? A solid 8 gajillion times. I mean, oh my goodness. But great music in Persona, man. I was just going through the original soundtrack, trying to figure out what songs I'm going to throw in here. Very challenging. Like, just 1 second into the song, like, oh yeah, I know exactly where I was, and oh yeah, I know exactly the setting for this song. I love the music in Persona. Going to go down as some of my favorite music in all of video games. It's so fucking good. And even if I heard Disturbing the Peace 8 million times, it didn't really get annoying. I will admit that I ended up turning down the music because I don't know, it just seemed like it was louder than everything else, which I understand. They're very proud of the music, and they should be, but I ended up turning it down. It also made for a great podcasting game because I'd say 70% of the audio is voice, but there's a chunk of it that you're just reading it. So I found it to be a really good podcasting game. I can listen to a podcast, still hear the music, still hear the voice acting, just dandy. And speaking of that voice acting, wow, absolutely outstanding voice acting in this game. And there's no one that's really annoying like Teddy was in Persona 4 that I have to really worry about. So there's no Teddy in this one. They do have like that generic kind of girly, super shy kind of situation, but she isn't all that annoying. There's a young little girl in it. Kind of annoying, just little girl, just hello, and stuff like that. I think the voice acting is outstanding. I have to shout out whoever was voice acting Junpei. Junpei was, wow, man, like this guy took it to another level. Like he has a really good range throughout the game. Like he's kind of your generic, not really generic, but your typical like goofy anime guy. Like, oh, he doesn't really do good in school. He likes to goof around, have a good time. But then he has like these really fucking powerful emotional moments, and like he gives it his all in some scenes in this game, man. Like it was very, very noticeable. I think by far Junpei was the best performance in this game. He was very, very, very good, but everyone across the board, the voice acting in Persona is outstanding. Everyone's doing really good. Yeah, man. And we'll break down more of the characters in a moment, but yeah. Good job from Junpei. God damn, that guy was outstanding. The music is outstanding. Of course it is. It's a frickin' Persona game. So before we dive into the character talk and the moments, let's talk about the gameplay. Let's talk about what we're doing in this game from the moment to moment. So, like I said, during the day, you're going to school. Yeah, sometimes you'll get asked questions by your teachers, and there is a fucking ton of information in your classes that you're getting on shit that I have no idea about. Like, there's a lot of history and just kind of Japanese culture stuff that you're going to be learning about. Real information, like legitimate information, and they will quiz you on this stuff. They'll be like, hey, you paying attention? Who did I just say? And it all plays into your upgradable abilities, which are your charisma, your intelligence, and your courage. So these are your 3 characteristic traits that you'll be upgrading throughout the game, and you upgrade them by doing activities. Answering questions correctly in class will build up your charisma. It'll make you more popular in your class. You can even fall asleep during class. If there's a lecture going on, it'll give you an option. It's like, hey, I'm getting a little sleepy. You want to fall asleep? Test your courage out. Fall asleep in front of the teacher, and bam, you're increasing your courage during class and stuff. So during school, you're participating in that. You get to do the exams, which are a staple in the Persona games. As you're learning, your teacher will be like, hey, this is on the quiz, and you'll have to remember the questions that they asked you. And it's all multiple choice. They're not hard. And if you do well on your exam, you get more stats, you become more popular, you get smarter, and all that great stuff. And all of those, like, if you're, it'll give you more access to other things. There'll be certain characters that's like, oh, you can't even talk to this person till you get level 4 charisma. You can't enter this building until you max out your courage, and so on and so forth. So you got to be paying attention to that. There's even just like a little bit of strategy back there. Like, not really. You can do whatever you want, pretty much whenever you want. But if, this is my 3rd Persona game, so I understand that there is efficiency you want to have with these games. You don't want to be wasting time doing stuff. And yeah, you want to try and get results as often and as best results as you can with your time. Your time is very, very precious here in Persona. So with that, after school, you can return to the dorms, which is your home base in this game. I love the dorm as a home base. You had fuck, I can't remember a lot about Persona 4, apparently. I think you were just in a room. In Persona 5, you were, like, upstairs in a bar. And in this one, you get this huge, beautiful dormitory that you're sharing with your a certain group of classmates. It is dope, dude. Like, I would love that. It's a massive mansion and all these rooms. And, like, oh, fuck yeah. It's a great home base. I like it. You can do a lot of stuff in your home base. You can cook with your friends, you can go out for walks, you can go plant vegetables on the rooftop garden. Yeah, there's a lot to do at home. You can study, go on the computer, play video games. Fuck yeah. And a big thing outside of you building up your courage and intelligence and all that stuff, you need to be building your relationships with the students and people, your friends around town. That is a huge part of Persona. So you'll be introduced to a massive group of characters, fellow students, fucking old people around town, just a huge mishmash of people in this town. And you want to build up your social relationships with these people. You want to talk to them, you want to listen to them, you want to know about them, and you'll have opportunities to speak with them. And depending on what you say, you'll get more, better, faster relationship building results, or you can even ruin a relationship in this one. I don't know if that happened in any of the other ones. This is kind of the first one I can recall that happening, but you can like say the wrong things to people and they will be like, yo, fuck you, I don't want to be your friend, and then you got to like fix it. And that only happened one time, and I think it was supposed to happen, but yeah, I wasn't actively trying to piss people off, but yeah, social interaction is extremely important in Persona, and we'll get to why that's super important, because at night, that's when you can enter Tartarus. You don't have to go in there every night. It's up to you, but Tartarus is this massive building, this huge tower that shows up at midnight, and basically your goal is to climb that bitch, and there's a fuckload of floors. Well over 200 floors in Tartarus to climb, and yeah, that's where your battle system comes into, and that gun shooting yourself in the head, that's where that comes into play as well. So like I said, at night you go into Tartarus with your group of people, and once a month or something, there'll be a particular strong shadow. You have to go in and find it. You got to kill it before a certain date and stuff like that. So with the battle system, very similar to your other battle systems in Persona, but if you're not familiar with it, it's a turn-based battle system. And kind of think about like Pokemon a little bit. So you'll be battling these shadows, and you and your party, we all have these things called personas. So personas, they're in a way, think again, kind of like Pokemon. There's all these different personas. You'll find a lot of them, or if not all of them, are based off of like gods and mythical creatures and stuff based off of reality. It's very, very cool. And it's a group of personas that's been out throughout the whole entire game. I've seen a lot of familiar personas, and that's totally fine. Just like in Pokemon, I see Charmander all the time. That's cool. I like Charmander. And I'm seeing, the similar, Jack Frost. Gotta have Jack Frost in your persona. He's like the most iconic persona in Persona. But yeah, everyone has a persona. They have special traits. They have weaknesses. They have strengths. You, in particular, the player that you have the special ability to control as many personas. Way more personas than anyone. Everyone else is limited to one. You can have, as the game goes on, many more personas, which have lots of benefits, lots of strategical stuff. So your main thing with the combat's turn-based, and your main goal basically is to find the weakness on whatever you're fighting. It might be wind, it could be fire, water, ice, that kind of shit, right? Fire is going to be weak to ice. Ice is going to be weak to fire. I think it's lightning is weak to wind. Wind is weak to fire. You got light, you got dark, you got physical attacks. You got different physical attacks, slashing damage, punching damage. You got pierce damage. Then you got buffs. You got, increase your attack, your speed, your accuracy. You got debuffs. Similar thing. You make your opponent weaker and shit like that, slower. But the main goal is to hit their weaknesses. That's where you're going to get success. If you hit a weakness, then you get the opportunity to attack again. So that's huge. And if you're able to knock down all the opponents on the field, you get an all-out attack, which everybody that's available, if all 4 of your party members are good to go, they'll all get in on the attack, do some big old damage to the opponent, and Bob's your uncle. If, for example, 2 of your party members are dead or shocked or poisoned, then they don't get to go in on the all attack. That's basically it. You're just rinsing and repeating. You're getting all these new personas. You're trying to figure out what their deal is. You watch what he just shot a fireball. All right, I'm going to hit him with some ice and see if that's his weakness. Some enemies don't have weaknesses, and then you got to just, you just got to get through it. And those are the more challenging fights. It can be a challenging game. I don't have any challenges with it because I tend to grind Persona games pretty good. I like to do a lot of fighting. I like to fight pretty much everything on every single floor, which you absolutely do not have to do. You don't have to do that. I just do. I don't have a problem with it, but that can lead to one of the things that I have a little bit of a problem with, but again, it's kind of a problem of my own making, and it's that the combat can get repetitive. So in Tartarus, there's kind of big sections of floors. So you'll have, let's say, floors 1 to 30 is this one area, and it has this one looking theme, and you're kind of fighting this group of enemies in here over and over again. Then you get to the next section of Tartarus, completely changes, looks completely different, all new enemies, and so on and so forth. But sometimes you're spending a long time in one area. Sometimes people will go missing in Tartarus, and you have to go back into Tartarus, find the people, and so on and so forth. And you don't have to go through all the floors in Tartarus. There is a time limit. It's all right, you got all month to get through 20 floors of Tartarus. It's not that hard. I generally will get through the whole entire section of Tartarus in one go. That's kind of my goal, so not to waste as many days as possible. Try and go into Tartarus at one go, get it all done, and try and go in there as minimally as possible. That's my strategy. Don't have to play it that way. But that leads to that combat getting repetitive to me. It's here's that same enemy, bam, fire attack, all-out attack, bam, we're done. But you can streamline it. You can make the combat faster. You can have auto combat where it'll just do the attacking for you. It won't play out the best strategy, but you can do that. You also have a party member in your group that's kind of the support of the group. They will do things in Tartarus that are really helpful. She can increase your defense. She can scan the floor of Tartarus and show you everything, because every floor, it's like a mystery. You have to try and make your way through to try and find the stairs to go up to the next floor. They're fairly small. I don't know, every floor can take 5 to 10 minutes. Some of them you can get through it in a minute if you just run through it. You don't have to fight everything. You can just run through Tartarus if you want to. You might hit a hard boss fight or two, but yeah, you could be fine. But yeah, your support, she can help you scan the floors, and she can help you scan enemies, which is really helpful as well. If you have a particular enemy, I haven't found the weakness on this guy yet, you can scan him, and she will find the weakness for you. It costs, magic points or whatever, a lot of magic points, but it's really, really useful. And on every floor, not every floor, but some floors have something going on. There might be a special enemy that will give you a shitload of experience if you can find it. There's hidden treasure chests all over the place. You can get fucking treasures. You gotta have to find keys to open them. You got little items that you can smash open, collect little fucking resources. Yeah, there's a lot going on every little floor. There's these nomad doors, they call them. You can find these doors, you go into it, there'll be a tough enemy inside to beat, some awesome treasures, and then when you get out, it'll scan the floor for you. It'll make people weaker and shit like that. So that's really cool. I like that. The support thing was really helpful. A lot of times, right before you see a really tough enemy up there, you're all right, fucking beef up our defense and speed, and off we go. You'll get these, it's called a Theurgy, I don't know. There's a Theurgy gauge. You fill up this gauge by, everyone's a little different. It's hit weaknesses. You'll fill up the gauge more. One, it's do healing things. It'll fill up your gauge. And when you fill up the gauge, you get to pull off a sweet ass super move. And these moves are all fucking badass. That was one of my moments. The first time I pulled off a Theurgy move, it was dope. I think it was with Mitsuruku, or the names are tough. Names are tough in this game, but she does like an ice thing, and she was like sliding on the ice. She's like cutting up the dudes with her sword, and then she flies up on this giant ice pillar and just like smashes everybody. Yeah, those are like your not quite Final Fantasy like Knights of the Round, like 7-minute animation, no, but it's just really fast, flashy, over the top attack, and it's sick. And yeah, you're gonna be using those a lot. Your support, she also has like her own little gauge, and when that, honestly, I don't know what hers does. It's like random. Most of the time it'll just like buff up all your stats, like, all right, we're super beefed up now. Sometimes she'll like randomly fill up your health and like magic meter. I don't know, I really never understood that part of her, but those 30 gauge attacks, they're fucking sick, super over the top and flashy. I like that. Okay, so I should touch on this whole shooting yourself in the head situation. It's not what you think. So you get these things called evokers. They look like guns, and you have to shoot yourself in the head to make your persona do the attack. I have no idea why. It looks cool. It's a little bit shocking, especially reading about it in a magazine when you're like 11 years old. You're like, I gotta shoot myself in the head? What the hell? Anyway, it's there at the beginning. You're like, whoa, shit, that's it. But you do it a fucking zillion times. Shoot yourself in the head. So you get over it pretty quickly. It's not that bad. And also, you'll get a whole bunch of little like challenges to do in and out of Tartarus, and I thought there's a huge list, like over 100 little fun tasks and challenges with a huge variety of things you'll be doing. She'll be like, yo, bring me this weapon, bring me this level persona with this, or she'll be she's like, yo, bring me these drinks, go bring me this weird food and stuff like that. It's very interesting, and she's the one that'll be like, yo, there's this person missing on floor 97, go find them. And sometimes there'll be cats. Cats will go missing in Tartarus, and you'll go find them, and they give you these little blue gems, which are keys to open up the locked chests all throughout the game. I never had any. I always had so many keys, I never really had to worry about having more keys and shit. But yeah, that's basically the gist of your Tartarus gameplay. You're just going up floors, battling enemies, collecting shit, getting stronger, collecting personas. You can also, at the end of the fights, you'll get shuffle time, which is like the other games. They'll give you like a little row of cards, and it's like, hey, do you want some extra XP? You want some extra money? Do you want access to this persona? You can just like take that persona, bam, it's mine. And that leads into the Velvet Room stuff. So in the Velvet Room, that's where you have Elizabeth and Igor, just two persona staples, and that's where you can create your personas. So you'll have, Persona A and Persona B will combine together to create Persona C. And yeah, it's kind of like mixing Pokemon together to create a new Pokemon. It's very cool. And there's hundreds of personas to collect and find, and they all got different attacks and different fucking personalities and shit like that, and they're very, very cool. And you can get these really awesome special fusions, where these like really epic monster. You got to put like 5 personas together, and you make this big epic fucking persona. It's sick. It's a lot of fun. It's super addicting. I love collecting the personas and seeing how powerful I can make them, and that is where the social interaction gets connected right here. So your personas, all the personas are linked to social arcanas. Your arcana of death, your arcana of the hangman. So there's 13 arcanas, and these personas are all bunched into these groups. So with your relationship, let's just simplify it. Relationship with this person, he is the hangman. So if my relationship is level 5 with the hangman, then I will get a level 5 bonus with my persona, which is a huge XP bonus. The better your relationship is, the bigger that bonus is going to be, and it's a need, man. You need that, because you'll have a persona. It's like, all right, I'm creating this level 13 persona, but I'm getting a level 7 XP upgrade. This persona is now like level 20, and it learns all these extra moves like Pokemon. They level up, and they hit a certain level, you get this new powerful move, and you only have so many moves that you're allowed to have. You'll have to forget them, and yeah, man, it's a lot of strategy. It's a lot of, not like hardcore strategy, but there's strategy to it. You're like, all right, I want to have a guy that can do a lot of magic attacks, have a good variety of magic, so I have my bases covered there. I want to have a physical guy that can just fucking has a lot of power, maybe some good debuffs, I can lower their defense and just fuck them up. It is awesome. It is a ton of fun, and that just like kind of keeps this full circle situation going on. You're like, oh, I need to go hang out with this guy so I can make this more powerful and make that more powerful so I can take on this harder enemy. And yeah, man, it is just a awesome cycle of gameplay. It is incredibly addictive and super duper fun. It's like not as like, oh, just one more day like in Stardew Valley or anything, but it kind of is. You're just like, oh, I just want to do one more day. You know, oh, tomorrow's Sunday. That's my day off. I can hang out and do this shit. Like, oh, buddy, it is a ton of fun. So with all those little side quests and shit, you have all that to do in and out of Tartarus, like I said. So, and on top of that, little extra tidbit here, there's a fast travel in this game, and it is much improved over the other Persona games that I've played. With fast travel before, it's just like, all right, you can go to this area, or you can go to this floor of this area, shit like that. In this game, you have that and more. Now it's like, oh, this person wants to hang out with you, and you're like, yeah, I want to do that. It'll take you right to their fucking, right in front of their face. Hey, what's up? Hey, this store has a sale going on. It'll take you right to the front door. It's really good. I like that. That was pretty dope. I had to shout that out. The fast travel system is better than I remember it being than before. And I think that's essentially everything with the gameplay. It's just a nice cycle of wanting to have balance. You know, I got to make sure I get in enough studies that I'm increasing my personal characteristics, but I can't be selfish. I need to go out and hang out and make sure I'm building up enough social interactions so I'm not fucking creating these weak-ass personas that aren't going to get me anywhere. And on top of that, building relationships and getting to, like, the next part of the story with these characters is also very addicting, because they'll leave you on these, like, cliffhangers. It's like, oh, I got this problem going on, and then, like, oh, I'll find out next week when you talk to me next time to find out the next part of the story. And it's not like I said, you have to also like listen to the people that you're talking to and understand what kind of person it is, so you make the right decisions when it's like, all right, what do I want to say to them? And that has an effect. Like I said, you can say the wrong thing and it can have a negative impact on your relationship with that person, or you can say the right thing and it'll have a huge beneficial positive reaction for our relationship, and we can advance the relationship so much faster if I could do these things right and I listen and understand what it is that I need to say to you. Some characters, I think with that being said, we can just get into the characters here. Talking about my favorite ones, I'm going to throw in a top 5 favorite characters, but let's get in here. So lots and lots of characters throughout Persona. There's like, well, I guess with the Arcanas, there's got to be like 13 relationships that you can build. They go to a maximum level of 10. So once you hit 10, you've maxed out that relationship. You'll get access to like the most powerful persona in that Arcana. And yeah, so the one that was really fun for me, he was like kind of a challenge, was the smoking and drinking monk. So this guy, I mean, a drinking and smoking monk, like just that on paper, that's interesting right there. And this dude you meet in the club, at the bar, and before you can even talk to him, you have to have your courage up to a certain level so you can even go into the club. But then you start talking to this guy, and he is not like, and most of the other characters, pretty simple, you know, just be nice to them, and you should be fine. This guy, he's like, no, call me out on my shit, be a dick to me, fucking make fun of me, like, don't be nice to that man, whatever you do not be nice to the old monk. He likes that tough love, and I really liked him. He was super cool. He was a very fun character. I got him tied in my top 5. He is number 5. He is tied with Kanemata. Kanemata is a character. So it may be a little bit of an issue for people because characters are getting introduced to you all throughout the game. Like very late into the game, you're still getting new characters a bit, and Kanemata shows up like, I don't know, halfway, 2/3 of the way through the game, and he's just like this kid, but a really, really sweet kid, a really charming kid. And yeah, I have him tied with the monk and Kanemata for number 5 on my top 5 favorite characters in the game. And I'll throw out, there's only one character in this game that I didn't like. I won't go as far to say that I hated this character, not like Teddy. Teddy was damn near insufferable at points in Persona 4. But Chihiro, she's just your very standard fucking super shy, terrified of everything. And yeah, you basically just have to help her out with those problems that she's having in life. And she's just, moment to moment, she's really annoying up until you kind of break through with her, because she'll just get in these really stupid situations and she just panics and freaks out, and you're like, oh my god, like, she just reminds me too much of my sister. My sister was an incredibly shy kid up until she was like 30, and yeah, I had to deal with this, so I was like, oh, she's just really annoying me, but I didn't like her, but in the end, she was just kind of like, okay. Tanaka. Oh man, Tanaka. So this is the guy, every Sunday you turn on the TV and there's the Amazing Commodities, and this guy is the host. And you can actually become friends with him. It's a little bit tricky. You have to like hit certain parameters with other people and do certain things to get him, but he's a lot of fun, man. He's just like really corrupted, like money hungry fucking TV host. But yeah, that was a really fun relationship. He's outside of my top 5 because it was a really short relationship. He was like kind of there and gone, but he was really cool. I think the cooler ones are the ones that you have parameters, like, oh, I gotta hit a certain level of intelligence to talk to this person. Now, I have a little bit of a gripe with this Persona in particular, because in all the other Persona games, you can get very one-on-one with every single one of your party members. In Persona 3, you can only get, like, close with a couple of them. And, I couldn't have a relationship with Junpei the way that I wanted to. Like, Junpei, there wasn't a one-on-one relationship with me and him. Junpei was kind of clumped into a team relationship, which kind of disappointed me. Like, I still got close with Junpei. It was just in a different way. I didn't have that one-on-one, which I was kind of missing. Like, I love getting to know my group very closely, and I wasn't able to do that with Junpei, with Sonata, and I was like, okay, that without Ken, and yeah, so you had to do it in different ways. Those ways were fine. Like, I still was getting a bit of what I was looking for, but there's a later part in the game where another character shows up and he starts hanging out with Junpei, and I'm like, what the fuck, man? Like, I want to hang out with Junpei. Like, that's not cool. So yeah, obviously I like Junpei quite a bit. He is on my top 5. He is, well, before I get to him, let's talk about the online gamer. The online gamer is a very, very interesting character. I love this character. Literally, you can only interact with this person on Sundays, your day off. That's the only day that you can get onto the computer, and that's the only day that she's on the computer too. And it's just this online gamer. You don't know what they look like. You don't know who they are. And, well, you'll learn a few things here or there about who they may be. And, man, once you have to get through the ending of that relationship, the payoff at the end is so fucking good. Oh, man. So that's number 4 on my top 5 characters. Oh, and also with the online gamer, she talks like a 12-year-old online gamer, like, noob and leet and all these weird spellings that, like if your grandma tried to read it, she'd have no idea what the fuck she's talking about. But I love that character, super awesome. And maybe the best payoff at the end of that relationship. Oh my god, that was so funny. Won't spoil it. Number 3 on my list is Junpei. Junpei is awesome. At first, I was not turned off by Junpei. I was just like, oh, okay, so this is my standard goofy funny guy, but he actually has a lot more depth to him than you would think of him at the beginning of the game. Like, he really develops some pretty intense relationships with some other characters, deals with some very intense heartbreak, even has beef with you at one point. Like, there's a time there where, you and Junpei are not cool, and I was like, yo, what the fuck, man? So, really like Junpei, and again, the voice acting, just an outstanding performance from the Junpei actor. Really put it out there, man. There's a lot of emotion and power behind that performance. Really, really like Junpei. And then you get Koromaru. Oh my goodness. I don't know if I really want to say too much about Koromaru. It's a later game edition, and it's just awesome. Once you see and know what Koromaru is, you really don't need to say much more than it's just Koromaru, man. It's the shit. I mean, Koromaru is the homie. So, and number 1, my favorite character in Persona 3 Reload is Elizabeth. Oh my god. So Elizabeth, she is in the blue room. She's the kind of the helper for Igor. She helps you out. She gives you all the tasks. But the best thing about Elizabeth is she will ask you to take her out on the town. She's not normal. I don't know what the fuck she is, but she's an angel or something, a devil. I don't know, but she doesn't live in our world of existence. And she'll be like, yo, can you take me out? Like, she'll ask you, like, hey, can you take me to your school? Show me around. Like, I want to see what a tree is. I want to see what a water fountain is. And she's just like a little child. She's like, oh, this is so cool. Like, oh my God, this is what water is. And like, it is, I love Elizabeth. She is so cute. She's so charming and funny and awesome. I love Elizabeth. Absolutely. Do always take her out. It doesn't even take time, like time out of your schedule. Like everything takes time. Like, oh, I want to go eat at this restaurant. Okay, well, that's my afternoon gone. Or I want to go work at this fucking movie theater. That's my night. That's my evening gone. But with her, it doesn't even take the time. So it is probably the highlight of the game. The best moments, the funniest, most Persona-y moments, if you will, are with Elizabeth. She is awesome. Fucking love Elizabeth. But that, all the characters in there, there's like, that was a hard top 5 to make. Like, pretty much everyone after that, they're very close together. Like, everybody was good. Fuka, she was kind of like borderline, that annoying, super shy, but she emerges, she starts, getting into cooking, and you start, helping her with the cooking. That was pretty good. Fucking Sumitsu, man, that kid was nuts. This was the only kid that we got in, like, my relationship actually like fell apart with him. I said something wrong. He fucking ran off, and I ended up having to save him, which saved our relationship. But this guy is just all about food. All he wants to do is eat, and talk about food, and that was really cool. Kamiki was all right. I don't really want to talk too much about Kamiki because his thing is very evident. It's a sweet story. It's pretty good. We talked about Chihiro Fushimi, your classic super shy, terrified of everything. Mitsuru Kirijo, she was interesting. I didn't get to, like, with everybody here, I got pretty much everybody maxed out except like 3 people. Everyone I got to, I think, like minimum level 5. So I got a good gist of everybody. But Kirijo, she's like the older girl in your group at the dorm. And she kind of comes off as this, like, fancy rich girl, but then you start hanging out with her and she's like really like socially unaware of stuff. Like she's never been to the movies before. She hasn't experienced the really simple things that people have experienced. So she's interesting to, I wish I could have finished my relationship with her, see where that ended, but she was pretty good. Irigaki, he's a late game character. Not going to say much about him. Odagiri was fine. Tanaka was sick. Yuko Nishawaki, I will admit. So you can have a girlfriend in these games. I chose Yuko. She just seemed really smart and strong and independent. A girl that I would probably have interest in if it was real life. She was really sweet. You get like these like little kids come up to you and you're on the track team and they just want to like race older kids and you like coach them up with Yuko. That was great. Miyamoto, he's on the track team with you. He's dealing with some injuries and you're trying to coach him through this stuff. Oh man, there's a lot. I don't think I can go through every single character. There's just so fucking many of them. Agus is awesome. I can't really talk too much about her without spoiling her character, but she's another one that develops very interestingly throughout the game, and it's a relationship you can't even get started until like the last quarter of the game, so you gotta like really power through with her, but that one was really good. Oh, fuck, man. There's, the little old couple, they were so fucking cute. Oh my goodness, this like little old couple, they own a little bookstore, you go in there, and they're just so nice to you, and yeah, you have to help them out with a little something, but fuck, man, the characters in Persona are dope. They have antagonists, like your bad people. There's like a little trio group here of people doing some bad stuff. It was a pretty good group of bad guys. Like, I thought that was, I'm not going to go into them too much, but they were pretty interesting. The main dude with no shirt the whole time, like, what the fuck is that guy's deal? The enemies in this game, like the big boss fights that you're doing, really cool looking creatures that you're fighting. The final shadow, so like your main thing is like 12 shadows, 12 sections of Tartarus, and each one has a main shadow. You take out the 12 shadows, and the 12th one looked awesome. The final fight, that final creature, Nyx, oh my god, that thing was like awesome, but also like unsettling. Like its face was like fucking freaky a little bit, and man, like without spoiling it, the story, like it takes a minute to get going. Like it's very kind of open-ended, mysterious in the first like half of the game, but once you hit this point and like it fucking hits the wall, you're like, damn, like this story is dope. It's dark, it's sinister, it's fucked up, and I really, really like the story, man. Like I was hook, line, and sinker at the end of the game. I got emotional, didn't cry, but I was not in a sad way. I was just very happy. They do a beautiful thing at the end of the game where, you know how games do, they kind of like remind you of all the great things that you've done and remind you of all the great times you had with these people, and you're just like, oh, the feels, my heart right now, it's getting tad. But yeah, man, they crushed the ending of this game. It was so beautiful ending of the game. So we'll touch on some of the moments that I experienced throughout this game without spoiling anything. The Elizabeth stuff, like I said, taking her out around the town is probably my favorite part of the game. It was so funny. I think it's like 3 or 4, maybe 5 times you take her out. All of them were fucking 10 out of 10 moments. Super awesome. Of course, it's not a Persona game if you don't have a beach moment where you take all the homies, all of us are going to the beach, and you gotta see the girls in their bathing suits. It's not a Persona game if they don't do that. So of course, gotta shout out the beach moment. And the summer festival. Summer festival was a lot of fun. You get to go with your significant other if you have one. So I went with Yuko, and it was great. You know, you go out and experience the cultural festival, and that was fun. Oh, buddy. So when it comes to fusing personas, this only happened a handful of times. I think 3 times it happened, but things can go wrong when you're combining personas together, and basically you'll have like a botched fusion, and you will get something that you did not ask for. And every time it happened like, I was like, yo, this thing's gonna be so powerful, it's gonna be awesome, and it's gonna be, it's supposed to come out like this level fucking 50 powerhouse, and then I get like a level 8 piece of shit. I'm like, what the fuck is going on with that? So that made me not very happy. But you get these, so back to like not being able to have like one-on-one time with Junpei in like that social link way, you get to do it in different ways. So with Koromaru, you can watch like a series of movies with him, and those were awesome. You're watching like wolf documentaries with him, and that is just fucking hilarious. If you know, you know. If you don't, oh well. But yeah, with Junpei, you'll like read a series of manga together. With Sonata, you're watching like boxing matches together. With Mitsuru, you can like cook with her. She'll make tea. Kanemata, he'll make coffee with you. Like, yeah, you can do like other stuff on the outside of social link stuff. It's very cool, and you get some really funny moments, like watching a wolf documentary with Koromaru. That is awesome. Also, little tidbit, you might miss this, but make sure you're watching the videos in the command room. They are fucking hilarious. I personally forgot about them until like late game. We're all in there, and I'm like, oh yeah, there's like little videos here. So I watched like 8 of them in a row, and it's like these little clips of like your fucking dorm mates being goofballs in the room or something. It's worth checking them out. That was a lot of fun. Spending Christmas Eve at the mall with Yuko, my significant other, that was really sweet. You experience Christmas a lot different in Japan, but they kind of did like how we would do it here in the West, I guess. Yeah. Anyway, that was cool. My first encounter with the Reaper and Tartarus. Holy shit. So the Reaper is kind of throughout all the games, and whenever you're in Tartarus or wherever you are, if you spend too much time on a floor, then the Reaper's gonna come after you, and the Reaper is this super, super powerful thing that will kill you immediately, and that's exactly what he did to me. I was going to go back and challenge him when I was at my highest of powers, but I have not gone back and done that yet, so we'll see. I don't know if I'm gonna go and try and do that. Seems like a hell of a fight. And then, yes, the ending moment, like I talked about, absolutely beautiful. It's yeah, man, I love a game that can wrap it up, tie it up, and give you a nice recap, because it's a very, very long video game and a lot goes down. And I loved that little flashback of all your friends kind of popping up and saying, like, oh, you helped me with this. You helped me realize this about myself. You made me a better person. And it's just like, but it's real, though. It's like actually things that I actually did help them with. Like there are opportunities, I imagine, that I could have, like, with Chihiro, for example. With her, you have to, like, stop her bullshit. You have to be like, no. You have to do this on your own, or you have the option to just kind of be like, don't worry about it, it's fine, you'll be okay. And, like, no, I was like, no, I want to fucking stop this shit. Like, you're not going to have a fulfilled life if you live like this. So putting that shit to an end, and her, like, you know, saying thank you for that just, like, fucking tugged at the heartstrings. I was like, oh god, jeez, don't cry. And I didn't. I swear I didn't. But fuck, man, that is Persona 3, man, and absolutely epic video game. So many story moments, an amazing cast of characters. The only thing is, it was a little long. I felt like it went on a little bit too long in the middle of 4 and 5. So I found that Persona 5 just went on for like 50 extra hours out of nowhere. I was like, all right. I wasn't really complaining, but I was like, there was a handful of times like we could have ended this, but it just kept going. Persona 4, I don't think really had that problem. I actually felt like I wanted a little bit more there. And then Persona 3, not as bad as 5, but I definitely felt like it dragged on for maybe 10, 15 hours, a little bit too much maybe. I don't know. Again, not really complaining, but I looked up on the interwebs how long it takes to beat this game, and I'm getting insane numbers, bro. I don't know how people are saying that you can beat this game in 59 hours. Don't know how that's possible. If you are beating it in 59 hours, then you are not experiencing Persona the right way. Gotta take your time with it. It's not a game that is demanding a lot out of you other than your time, but it is not demanding, like, you better be here every day. It's not a hardcore video game. Like, I could take a week off of it, come back, and you can pick up your relationships. You can go into the menu and it'll tell you, like, what is going on with this relationship, what they're dealing with, what your standing is in this relationship. So it's a game that you can take your time with, or you can power through it like I did, because I just fucking love these games and I just cannot stop playing them. I love this cycle of just, you know, being as efficient as I can with my time and doing as much as I can. It's so fucking fun. I love Persona. Absolutely love Persona. So let's talk about the pros and the cons overall. I'm gonna score this bitch and I'll send you guys on your way. So with the cons, like I said, the graphics at points lack a little bit of detail. I'm not taking a big negative on that, but it is getting mentioned. The combat can get repetitive if you're playing the game like me, where you're going into Tartarus and I am in there for like 3 hours. I am getting through it, and that is that. So it can get repetitive if you're doing that. And I felt like the game went on a little bit too long, maybe take out 2 of those 12 shadows, maybe. I don't know. It just dragged on a little bit. Now with the pros, addicting gameplay loop. I mean, I can't wait for the next day of shit I'm going to do. I'm like, all right, I want to do this, I want to do that. There's never, like, maybe a little bit at the end of the game where, like, I already had all my characteristics maxed out. I had a lot of my relationships maxed out, where there were nights where I didn't have much to do. I didn't have a relationship I can go work on. I didn't have an activity that can go level up my characteristics because they're already maxed out. So I found myself, like, last quarter of the game, all I was doing, I would go to the club, buy these little date note things for the computer, and you can go on the computer and, you know, pick whatever social link you have, and you can, like, get a little upgrade, a little extra XP. So I was just doing that night after night after night. Maybe take a walk every now and again, go up to the garden, do some shit. But yeah, for that back half, that was mostly on me, because I just was very focused on my nighttime social links. Like, I made sure I got the Monk and Tanaka done every single night they're out there. I'm going to see them because I didn't know how long they were going to stick around. But yeah, so you can have a little bit of problems with that, but other than that, the game is outstandingly fun to go through in terms of the gameplay loop. Fun, flashy combat. The characters and the story in this game are outstanding. Music and voice acting also outstanding, and the art style in this game is going to last a very long time, and it's going to look great for a long time. So there you go, everybody. I'm going to hit this game with an 8.5 out of 10. I will say that is maybe my least favorite of the 3 Persona games that I played so far, but I've gone in reverse order. I've gone 5, 4, and 3, so that's probably, but I've loved all of them. They're all excellent RPGs. I know that they're not everybody's cup of tea. They're extremely long, and they're a little heavy on the Japanese anime situation, but fuck, man, I am so happy I got into this franchise of games. I cannot wait for the next Persona game. It's going to be amazing, and yeah, I am always going to be down for Persona. Hopefully they do more of this, like do a remake. If they could do remakes of 1 and 2, that would be sick. I don't think it's really necessary to do it for 4. They did the remastered re-release. I thought that was outstanding. Played that last year, one of my favorite games. And then there's Persona 5, probably one of the best RPGs I've ever played, period. So there you go, everybody. Hopefully you enjoyed the Persona 3 Reload as much as I did playing through it. This is the biggest negative with Persona games, is when they're done, that is a hell of a void to fill. Like, Persona becomes a lifestyle for me. Like, I get up, playing my Persona, and now it's gone. I'm like, what the fuck do I do with myself? So yeah, hopefully I can fill that up with some Sekiro and maybe some racing games and shit like that. But yes, there you go, everybody. Hopefully you enjoyed the review. Hopefully you're having a good time and all that great stuff. You want to be more awesome than you already are listening to this, make sure you're hitting that review, hit the stars, hit the like, do whatever you got to do to help out this little podcast, help me out and all that great stuff. You want to drop a comment or anything like that, have a question answered live on the podcast, there's a Twitter page down in the description box. Follow along on Twitter. I put up my announcements as best as I can. And the best place to go is the YouTube channel, GamerGX Videos. I upload every episode over there. And a great place to drop a comment on the YouTube channel. Leave a question there. I'll answer it live for you on the podcast if you'd like me to. There's also an email address if you just want to have a private conversation. Absolutely. My door is open for y'all. And there you go, everybody. Go out there, play some Persona, especially if you never played it before. And if you have played Persona, what is your favorite Persona? I think Persona 5 is still my favorite because it was my first one. But they're all great. I love Shin Megami Tensei as well, and I have Persona Tactica on the Xbox as well. I'm planning on playing that soon as well. So there you go, everybody. We'll be back again soon with some more GX Plus Cast.